Are you interested in becoming a beat maker or music producer? Welcome to this episode where I plan on demystifying just that. Now, to be clear, what I will be talking about in this video is typically referred to as a beat maker or someone that makes instruments or tracks, backing tracks for artists to come and collaborate and put their lyrics on top. So there are typically 5 basic things that you really need in order to get going to become a music producer. The very first one is to get a computer or PC or laptop. This will be basically the brainchild and the engine of how you're going to make beats. Now, if you are starting off, you could probably get away with the current laptop, computer, or Mac that you currently have to make music. As you progress throughout your career, you may need more intense computing power, bigger RAM, bigger storage space, but if you're starting off, I highly suggest use the current PC that you have. If you have budget to spend, then go for something that has about 1 terabyte of space, approximately 16 gigabytes of RAM, and somewhat of a high processing power. If you have extra budget, then you can request to get a solid state hard drive as an additional hard drive. This will make things faster to get things in and out of your PC when you need to make your music. After getting a good computer or using the computer that you have, you want to get something typically referred to as a DAW, D-A-W. Now, a D-A-W or DAW is where you paint. This is basically the canvas of where you will make your music. It's typically software that usually runs ideally on a computer. There are some basic DAWs for smartphones or other kinds of tablets, but typically the stronger or more intensive ones are used on computer. The DAW that I use is Reason Studios, so you could go, I've left the link in the description about that, but typically you want to go on a YouTube search to see what genres are made typically in that typical DAW. I know for hip hop in particular, there are a lot of FL Studio tutorials for that. Cubase is also used quite extensively, but I know for the dance and electronic scene, Ableton Live is typically where most musicians would head towards. So I highly suggest that you spend time to find if there are a lot of tutorials that are free online on YouTube in particular, and if you have other musician friends close by that make music, ask them what DAW they use and what do they suggest that you start off using. Now, in terms of equipment, you actually can get away with using a mouse, and if you are fairly new to making music, I highly suggest that you use your keyboard, the actual one where you type. Most DAWs allow you to use that actual keyboard to make music, but if you have budget and you want to start taking your music career a little bit more serious, then I highly suggest that you get a MIDI controller or MIDI keyboard, and then this one would help you play it similar to what those piano keys are. Try get one with about 45 or 61 keys in order to start making music. I typically recommend the cheaper end, especially when you're starting off. Even 25 keys is enough, but if you are a fluent pianist or can play the keyboard, then consider getting 61 keys. Now, there are several brand names that come to mind. If you want to get a MIDI controller, consider anything from Behringer. That's usually a lot cheaper. If you want to get a little higher than that, then consider the Akai, or what I'm currently using, one of the Native Instruments keyboards. If you have some extra cash, then I suggest getting a fairly inexpensive USB microphone. This one will help you if you want to get some chants in, or if you want to dummy some vocals on top of your songs. Now, these microphones are usually not the highest of quality, but you can get away with them just to make the chants or the haze and the ahs, or just to add a little vocals into your production and to get you going into being a full-blown music producer. Now, if you actually have a lot of extra cash, then you might want to move on to getting more equipment for the trade. One thing that I think you should most definitely invest in first is an audio interface with at least one channel. I currently use the Focusrite Scarlett 6i6, but that may be a little overkill if you're starting off. So consider keeping the budget a little low, especially if you're starting out. What an audio interface is, it basically links computers and all sorts of audio sources back into your computer via USB. So if you're using MIDI, for example, or if you're using other kind of microphones, dynamic microphones or condenser microphones, then you want to get an audio interface. Another highly recommended thing that I think you should get more or less in the beginning is a good pair of headphones. I currently use the Bear Dynamics BT990 Pro headphones. These are used to listen to music in more or less an non-biased way, because typically when you get headphones, earphones, the ones that go into your ears, or headphones that you buy commercially, that they do some boosting to increase the bass or etc. But you as a producer, you want it to be plain so you can do the boosting accordingly once you learn how to mix and master. The very next thing that I suggest that you get a crash course on your DAW on how to mix and master. This is basically how you differentiate yourself and improve on the sound that you are producing. There are a lot of tutorials on YouTube, particularly for Fruity Loops or FL Studio, or there are some on Ableton Live. So I highly suggest, if you are struggling to get tutorials from the internet, free tutorials, then get a dedicated course on how to mix and master, typically on your software, or you can use another software once you are very familiar with yours. The very next thing that you want to get onto is to create a website. A website, typically like mine, is skillmusicsa.com, and you get an email address linked to that. So mine is info@skillmusicsa.com. So you want this website to be the home of everything that you do as a music producer, where you send customers, where you retrieve customers, and this is the main focus of your whole business as a music producer. Now, once you get this website, you want to get something to host your beats so people can listen to those beats that you're getting. So I highly suggest that you get a beat player. Typically what I would recommend is Beatstars, because their player works really well and it already processes PayPal. They also got a fairly big store in the actual Beatstars website, so I highly suggest that you use Beatstars. I've left an affiliate link for that, and then, or you can use other ones. I'm not too familiar with the other ones because Beatstars worked for me first time, so I highly suggest that you use Beatstars. The very next thing that you want is a way of collecting people's emails so you can keep on sending discounts and keep people buying your beats. So I highly recommend Aweber to use as a mailing list. Now, a mailing list is typically how you go about emailing people on a weekly basis about your progress or about specials that you have as a music producer. So make sure you get the mailing list, as it keeps the loop going and you keep people coming back to your beats. Don't forget that sometimes freebies are good initially so you can get people to listen and use your beats. So don't be shy to give beats out for free. Lastly, a little bit on the marketing side, you want to have some budget per month allocated just for marketing. So I highly suggest that you do consider getting something on Facebook or Google to make for the advertising. Make sure you get your social media. Make sure you're using Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to get your music out and being used. And don't be shy to distribute some of your music once you start being confident and comfortable with the sound of your beats. Now, that concludes this video, but if you want to know why getting a mailing list is important, watch this video.